Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Speaking with Spirit. I'm your host, Spirit, and I'd like to welcome you on a very, very special journey. We're hanging out in Atlanta at the Urban Grind, a great coffee shop. And you know what? I think that this is the perfect place to have our conversation today. Today we'll be talking about emotional baggage. What exactly is emotional baggage, and how in the world did we get rid of it? You know, before you can have a relationship with anybody else, it's very important to know who you are and what it is that you want. For many of us, trying to have relationships as adults is a very difficult task. And why is that? Well, it's because we don't really understand who we are and how we came to be. When you think about having a relationship with someone else, it's not simply about intimate dating, although that can be great too. But we constantly have relationships. We have relationships with our coworkers, with our bosses, with our children, with our parents. You and I are even having a relationship right now. But in order to understand the value of that relationship, you have to understand what purpose it serves in your life and if it's something that you truly want. If it's not working for you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get rid of it, but it does mean that some changes need to be made so that you can have the life you aspire to live. When you think about emotional baggage, where does it come from? How come you can't let it go? I mean, you've heard these things so often. Oh, she's carrying that from a previous relationship, or she really just needs to maybe get some, if you know what I mean. But that's not necessarily what emotional baggage is about. It's about having things that have happened to us in our past life, maybe something that was out of our control, or maybe something that we've done that we haven't really been able to resolve. We can't quite let it go, so it sits with us. It sits on our heart, it sits in our mind, and even worse, it sits in our spirit. No pun intended. So you have to understand, if you want to let it go and get rid of it, how can you make that happen? The very first thing that you have to do is acknowledge that it exists. And that's a tough thing for a lot of people, because it hurts to have to dredge up some things that, weren't so pleasant to begin with the first time. It's necessary, however, if you want to make a change. Acknowledging that life hasn't always gone the way that you wanted it is a very important thing. You have to be able to understand it in order to build a platform or a bridge to where you'll go next. Maybe you didn't have the relationship with your father that you wanted to. Maybe you and your mother didn't quite get along in the way that you thought that she should. Maybe old boyfriends have hurt you in the past. Or maybe you've made some mistakes along the way. Mistakes that you promised yourself you'll never make again until the next time that you make them. And there you are, right back in the same place. I tell my clients a lot that we tend to date the same person over and over and over. Now, true enough, they may have a different name and even a different face, but it's still in essence the same person over and over. And why is that? Well, quite simply, a lot of times it's because we're still trying to resolve some of the issues that we've carried with us through this new relationship. Before you can move on to anything new, you have to stop and take stock of where you are. What did you learn from some of your past experiences? Did they hurt? Maybe they did. If you can't acknowledge that you've been hurt in the past, then it's very hard to find pleasure in the future. Because what we tend to do is we take that hurt and we pack it away. It doesn't exist. People don't hurt me. I'm tough. That'll never happen to me again. So it really doesn't matter. But what happens all too often is that you carry these things into new relationships. The very things that you try to prevent from happening. You behave your way back into that place time and time again. So it's important that you stop and take stock of the things that have happened to you. And most importantly, to be able to forgive. Forgiveness is the hardest thing that most people struggle with. Because we somehow think that if we forgive that person, then it makes those things okay. That's not the case. Forgiveness is not about someone else. It's about freeing yourself. It's about allowing yourself to say, I accept that that happened, and no, I'm not happy with the way that it turned out. No, I don't like the way that person treated me. Maybe they never even apologized for it. But by forgiving them, and by forgiving yourself for allowing that to happen, you're able to move on and make peace with that situation. As we go through this episode and this series of Speaking with Spirit, I hope to provide you with the tools that you'll need in order to live the life that you aspire to live. To give you the tools and the steps that can help you make the choices that need to be made in order to live that life. Happiness is possible. Your happiness is possible. You don't have to live your life for anyone else, not because of someone else, not because of the way that people think that it should be. But in order for you to be strong enough and step into who and what you are truly destined to be, you have to be honest about what it is that you want. I cannot wait to share this with you each and every week, and I hope that you'll come back to the same place time and time again. You'll be able to email, you'll be able to write, and I'll be able to respond directly to the questions that you have. Everything you want to know about living the life you want to live is about to happen. So strap in and let's do it. I'll see you back here again with Speaking with Spirit. Bye-bye for now.